Welcome back, Nerd Squad, or maybe you never left. My name is Amanda McKnight, and I will be your host for this top 10 list where we count down the top 10 supervillains we need in the MCU. We need them! Or more accurately, we just really want them. Let me know if there are any supervillains that I missed on this list, or that you would just like to see hit the big screen from Marvel, DC, or from any other comic or graphic novels that you love. I mean, there are even tons of villains from mangas who deserve some love too, am I right? And if you were feeling supervillainous today, support your fellow diabolical deviants from this list by giving it a thumbs up. Number 10. Norman Osborn. We have yet to see this big bad enter the MCU, but there are some unanswered questions that would set him up nicely. Namely, that we don't yet know the details of Spider-Man's origin story. And we know the Stark Tower has been sold, but just who is the buyer? Considering our Avengers have also just messed things up pretty badly, letting 50% of the entire multiverse down in the aftermath of Infinity War, the time is ripe for the ever opportunistic Norman Osborn to show up. While some people might first think of Green Goblin when they hear Osborn's name, Norman has recently become an even bigger supervillain in the comics. While he still wrestles with a split personality disorder brought on by his Green Goblin persona, lately he is more well known for becoming the villainous version of Nick Fury as head of the organization Hammer and creator of the Dark Avengers. Number 9. Magus. The evil side of Adam Warlock, Magus has a kind of weird convoluted backstory. The kind of backstory you would expect from a cosmic character. I tried writing even just the outline of his origins and stories, but yeah, it was a lot. Seriously, cosmic characters, why are you so complex? Anyways, the simplest version I can give you, that won't mean me ranting for 10 minutes, is that Magus is basically Adam Warlock's evil twin from a parallel universe. How evil is he? Well, before there was the Infinity Wars event in the newer comics, there was the Infinity War event of the 90s. This event had even Thanos aiding in stopping the bizarro version of Warlock, Magus, from putting his evil plot into motion. Magus had created evil versions of Earth's mightiest heroes to take down the good guys and help him get his hands on the Infinity Gauntlet. You know it's bad when Thanos is helping out. Number 8. Onslaught. Imagine if Professor X and Magneto combined. Just kidding, you don't have to imagine it already happened. And that is who Onslaught is. After Magneto causes mass death, Professor X loses it and puts Magneto in a coma. During this moment, Magneto's grief and anger transfer to Charles and become buried in his subconscious, which creates the alter ego, Onslaught. Eventually, Onslaught takes over, and however scary you think he would be, he ends up being more deadly than even that. His goal is to wipe out the humans, and it takes the combined strength and wits of the Fantastic Four, the Avengers, and the X-Men to take him down. And there are massive casualties as well, including the Invisible Woman, Mr. Fantastic, and the Hulk. And that's just the first time he's defeated. Yeah, Onslaught comes back. But don't worry, all the heroes he defeated in round 1 also come back. They weren't really dead, just hiding in a pocket dimension. Yay, comics! Number 7. The Inheritors. I mean, you can't just give me Into the Spider-Verse and expect I am not going to want these energy vampires to make an appearance. I know this is a controversial one to put on the list, as some people are really not fans of their storyline, but I don't care. I like the Inheritors. They are strong and scary adversaries. And let's be honest, you've had me at vampire. I've been a huge vampire nerd since I was like 11 and started reading Anne Rice. The Inheritors are creatures that live off the life energy of totems. Namely, in the comics, they are huge adversaries of the spider totems. That's all spider people who are all considered as being connected to the Great Web. Once spider totems start disappearing from their universes, Spider-Man and all the alternates are forced to create a spider army to stop them. I also just love these villains because they help to create a storyline that allows us to see all these alternates in action together. And there are a lot of weird and cool spider totems out there to see. Never mind Kingpin, let's make things really dire in the Spider-Verse by bringing in Morlun, Verna, and the crew. Yay! Number 6. Mole Man. Why Mole Man, you ask? Because he pops up everywhere in the comics, and he's such a relatable villain. One thing that I love about the MCU is that they build up their villains to feel very real. These aren't just characters who want to do bad things just cuz. They have motives, and believable ones at that. Ultron and Thanos are both great supervillains for this reason. And although Mole Man is definitely not as big of a supervillain, some people might find him relatable. Mole Man is an outcast who, after undergoing a ton of rejection, is washed up on Monster Island, where he takes refuge with the mole people and becomes their ruler. Not that I think you should turn to violence because rejection. But I do think that this would be an interesting theme to explore right now, especially with social media aggravating mental issues like social anxiety and various dysmorphias. Mole Man first appears in the first ever issue of Fantastic Four, where he is just the perfect amount of corny iconic villain. It would be really cool to see a villain so originally corny made relevant again. Number 5. Namor. Assuming you are a fan of Marvel Comics, I'm sure you agree that Namor has to make the cut as the villain we need. He has a complex past and is sort of like Marvel's kind of evil version of DC's Aquaman. In the comics, he rules the underwater realm of Atlantis. In terms of politics, Atlantis and Wakanda are often written as being at war, making Namor a villain to both T'Challa's Black Panther and later Shuri's Black Panther. Namor has also been depicted as both an ally and enemy of the Fantastic Four. He even had a crush on Susan Storm for a while, and he has teamed up with Doctor Doom before to try and defeat the team of heroes. He was also one of the beings the Phoenix Force possessed in the events of Avengers vs. X-Men. Namor has a history with so many characters in the Marvel multiverse that it would be cool to see him join them on the big screen. Number 4. Sinister Six. Haven't we been teased enough times about getting a Sinister Six film? Let's not even talk about when Andrew Garfield was Spider-Man and we got that hidden Shazam app teaser where it looked like the team was amassing, as well as the Sinister Six blueprints at the end of Amazing Spider-Man 2. If you are a Spider-Man fan, then you know how iconic the Sinister Six are to the lore, originally consisting of Doc Ock, Vulture, Kraven, Sandman, Mysterio, and Electro. Separately, the villainous members are often defeated by Spider-Man, but united they are much stronger, with Spider-Man Far From Home promising a handful more of Spidey villains, plus Mysterio. And with the Fox and Disney merger resolved, the odds are very, very good that we will be seeing this team take to the screen sooner rather than later. Number 3. Doctor Doom. One of the original villains of the Fantastic Four, like Namor, Doctor Doom has an interesting and complex history. He has also seen a huge arc in the comics. While always possessing genius intellect, he goes from being a man of science and magic to a god when he later becomes God Emperor Doom, an omnipotent being who creates his own world and reality. As the story progresses, he also often is only a villain in the comics to a point, even sacrificing himself for the greater good. If we are going to end up having the Fantastic Four in the MCU, we are also going to need Dr. Von Doom, a man who has been the ultimate enemy and occasional friend to Reed Richards' Mr. Fantastic. Reed Richards' No. I said it fine. Number 2. Galactus. Formerly known as the Devourer of Worlds, Galactus has not done as much devouring in recent comics. Or well, he has only devoured worlds for the greater good. Yeah. Maybe that's a better way of putting it. Galactus actually couldn't originally help being villainous. It was simply his hunger that made him that way. And the only way to remotely satiate his hunger was by devouring entire planets. Eventually, he weighed himself down to just devouring the life energy of those inhabiting the planets, but this still wasn't a great time as it wasn't as filling for Galactus, so it just made him want to eat more often, hence like even more death than before. Starving Galactus was originally defeated by the combined efforts of the Shi'ar Empire and many of Earth's superheroes, including the Silver Surfer. After he returned to the comics, he became more of a good guy and less of a threat. Still, how cool would it be to watch Galactus literally try to consume Earth? Number 1. The Builders. An alien race that created life as we know it, but then returns to destroy it and everything in its path. Similar, but apparently different than the Celestials. Although they share a similar claim that it was their actions that created life in the universe, which also apparently gives them the right to destroy any life that they classify as a failure. This is exactly what happens with Earth and these powerful aliens wielding tons of deadly robots called Aleph. On their way to Earth, the Builders decimate entire planets, which prompts the members of the Galactic Council, comprised of races who have been at war with one another in the past, to team up and take down the common enemy. With the cosmic direction the MCU is taking, it might be an interesting time to introduce the Infinity event involving the Builders. Seriously though, squad, who wouldn't want to see Norman become the new big bad in the MCU, or a new galactic threat introduced in the form of the Builders? And a bigger question, if Norman Osborn does get introduced in the MCU, who would we want to see get cast? Think of the possibilities. If you want to make sure you don't miss any updates about villains, old or new, from the Marvelverse, please remember to click that subscribe and feel free to spark the debate with your fellow nerds by giving this list a share. Thank you so much for watching. This is Top 10 Nerd and my name is Amanda McKnight, reminding you to stay nerdy, YouTube.